Good morning. I hope you are doing well as you watch this video today, this show today. There's an employment pandemic in a country of, in Kenya today. Not just in Kenya, in many parts of Africa. The rate of unemployment is at 6.6%, which is very high. There are millions of young people in our country looking for jobs today. I'd like to shock you that we have 50 to 100,000 graduates every year from our universities. If you look at Nairobi University, Kenyatta, some of the biggest, they have thousands of graduates every year. Mount Kenya University as well. Where do all these graduates go? All these young people, they need jobs. And these jobs are not easy to find by. But as an employer myself, we've run a business for almost 10 years now. Combined experience, I can tell you one of the biggest challenges we have is called unemployability. We have maybe 8 out of 10 graduates who you can't give a job because of basic things. Yet we have so many people looking for jobs in a country like ours. Today I would like to tell you how you can find a job in 100 days, as the title suggests. I'm saying this because I want to give advantage to those young people or people who would like to take advice and implement them, because we get challenges. Give somebody a job in a few days, then you realize they are not doing it. Why? Maybe because of attitude. Some people have skills, but they don't have attitude. I think the biggest problem is the culture that we have. There's so many young people who just want to get rich in overnight, in some few days. And I think that's why we have proliferation of betting, mobile loans. People want to get so much in a very short period of time. It's a bad culture, but for the few who would like to implement some of the tips I'm going to share today, you can be able to be the 20% of those who can be able to get this job in 100 days. I believe it's possible. I'd like to tell you this. You may not get this job in 100 days like the title suggests, but these principles will ensure you get it in the shortest time possible. I'll give you my own story. When I left university, this is like 10 years ago, I was very confident I would be able to get a job based on performance, based on the performance in college and stuff like that. One of the things I did not understand is that the rules of the books are different on the ground. They are not the same. Passing is okay. They give you prepared to be able to be invited for interviews. I was invited so many, but I kept failing so many of them because I did not understand the rules of the game. One of the things I learned later, I failed so many interviews. These big corporates that were recruiting that time, there was Safaricom, there was the big 4 or 5 auditing firms, the banks. I went to as many interviews as possible because my grades were good then. But then I was failing them. Why? I paused to ask myself, and that's when the next interviews I passed. Because I thought it was automatic. You just get out of the university, you have performed well, you know how to speak English, you know so many things about calculus and all those things that we do in the university. Then you think you'll just come and you're a very smart fellow. You passed in your high school, so it doesn't work like that. The rules are different on the ground. You have to learn. There are so many people who have learned these skills. Doesn't matter whether it was a first class, second upper, whatever score. There are even people who did not graduate. They are doing so well because there are different principles in the marketplace. There are different principles at work that you must follow for you to be able to succeed. I'll be able to share this, but before then, there are things you need to know. There's 2 other stories I would like to share. This lady, if you go to corporatestaffing.co.ke, one of the HR firms in the country, a leading one for that matter, run by a friend of mine. This lady called Edith had been an assistant in a big organization. She got a job by speaking to in a matatu conversation. You speak to someone, networking is very important. Then they realize, of course, maybe you speak for some few minutes, they invite you for an interview. They realize you have a good attitude, a work ethic, you treat people properly. Very basic things that most young people fail in. And then you're invited for an interview and you prepare for it and you pass. There are another person who talks about the random application that they were able to do and they were able to get their first job. I'll also be trying to address that in the video as well. What skill or what quality you need to have as a young person to be able to be that person who can easily be considered for a job somewhere. Sandra landed a job after her internship. One of the things that I learned, I looked for internship in my second year of college. I got an internship somewhere in a big telecommunication organization, government based. In the third year, I got a job with a stockbroker organization. And all of these internship programs, somebody was asking how I got them. Do you not have a godfather, by the way? I just say I'm blessed, but keep working hard. We kept looking for this internship, walking around, being aggressive, understanding what people need. I got 2 internships in a row. And I used the same strategy when I finished to get some of the few jobs. Of course, I was aggressive. Did not have a godfather because most people believe you need a godfather. Very bad. It actually stops you from working and it stops you from thinking because you think in this country you just need connections, godfathers, and stuff like that. It's true. The people who use connections. There are millions who don't use it. They use their working and their skills. They're able to market themselves and stuff like that, and they're able to get their jobs. They got internships that way through being very aggressive. I know time was running out. Some of these internships were paying, by the way, getting like 7,000 then. In 2007, it was a lot of money. Looking for a place in Nairobi to stay, and I survived that way, and you can be able to do the same. If you're watching me today in the university and stuff like that, you can be able to even get a job before you graduate. There are people who did that, and we used to admire them. Earning so much money when you are in 4th year and you don't have a job. Some people are earning this money, you admire them. There are things you can do, and I hope you are listening today. Number 1, I'll be able to share some of the tips that can help you get a job in 100 days. If you don't get it in 100, you get it sooner than later. Number 1, you have to stop choosing. You have to stop choosing the specific job you are looking for. What I mean, there are people who are engineers today, but if you go to many companies, and I think more than 50% of the people in our country, they are not doing what they did in college or what they really wanted in the first place, because our market, our country is different. We're in a developing country, third world country. We are not in the US. There are skill sets that you have trained for, but you can't practice them there. You need to understand that. How do you survive? You can't get a visa to go to the US, a green card. You need to adapt to what is currently there. Be very practical with your choices. Don't choose jobs because the first job you get will give you experiences. What are these experiences? Maybe it's not the skill experiences. They're called soft skills. How to relate with people, how to negotiate, how to keep time, how to write reports, how to be able to do jobs. I know some of these things are not rocket science, especially for young people today. There are people who are in the bank, especially the banking sector is very interesting. They are from all manner, even the auditing firms, they pick from all manner of courses. Why? Because in the university, they teach you how to withstand. That's why you do very difficult things. They don't teach you that specific skill. They teach you how to be able to live life, how to grow up, how to be able to keep time, how to have a good work ethic. That's why you do difficult assignments. So when you get a job, they actually want that for them to be able. Who doesn't? Which company doesn't want to progress? So they look at your intelligence, they look at your work ethic, your capability to get things done, more than the skills of calculus that you learned in the university. Don't choose. Number 2 is the resume. I've been looking at CVs for some time now, and I can tell you there are people who just forward CVs. They even address the wrong company. I have seen so many of them. They even, you see somebody sending you a CV, they were applying for an engineer's job, and this is a HR job. Some people are just very careless. You need to look at your resume properly. Even your resume might be addressed to the right person, but it might have the wrong content. If you are angling for a marketing job, it's not the same as a HR job. So the kind of experiences you put in that CV should tell the recruiter that you are somebody who need to be considered. I've also looked at thousands of CV, and I can tell you, even the structure of the CV matters. Some of them are disorganized. They are written in ungrammatical sentences. You need to make your CV stand out. There are people who do that out there. They can help you out for a few shillings. Please look at your CV first. Be very strategic as an individual if you are looking for these jobs. Look at your CV, pass it through a professional. There are HR firms can charge you a little fee. Even if you're in the university, you can be able to afford it. They look at it, look for them online, you get them. They can tell this CV can be, in fact, you increase your probability. Because I look at some CV, I don't look at them twice because they are so disorganized, they are written in some way. Some of them are so organized, so structured, and you assume that person is also organized when you give them work. Number 3, you need to social media. Social media is a big debate today because even as an organization, you use an investment, you learn for you to be able to know the real person. You don't need to ask them so many questions. We visit their social media pages or their online footprint. You may not be very active in social media. People quote you. If you are somewhere, we Google, we even know how when somebody graduated. If you Google, you'll get somebody graduated in the year 2018. You can get that from the university website by just Googling their name. So we get a lot of information. Ensure your online footprint is okay. I'm not saying you should not share jokes. We all do share political conversation, share what you believe. No. But when you do it with a modicum of balance, knowing that you are looking for a job. You can be an activist all you want. You can be a political person all you want, abusing people left and right because it's your right. Of course it is. But when you go look for that profile online, we will not care about that. I have to tell you that as an employer, we want somebody who can give us value. We don't care about your views. We don't care about your views about politics. But we do care whether you will become a negative person when you join us. So, moderate your discussion online. This is a difficult one, especially if you are looking for a job because you will not get it despite being right in social media. Of course, you have to, especially the professional pages like LinkedIn. That's why we also you look at a person. Don't be a negative person. You can be somebody who is sharing things, but you are not negative. We can pick the negative trait, and anyone can be able to do it online. I've seen it, and if there's someone actually we did not have because of that, they were lying. They had this small business. We just wanted them to acknowledge they have one. But they did not know that we had accessed their pages until we showed them in a laptop. Are you this person? They were very shocked. They could not speak again. That's how they lost the job. We don't want people who are lying. We want people who are straightforward. Just tell your truth, but explain it. People will be able to understand. Be genuine, be honest. Look at your social media profile. Number 4, you need to prepare for interviews. One of the things that I failed like 5 big interviews before I got my first serious job because I had not prepared. I thought because I was smart, I was bright, I knew how to answer questions, I knew English at that point. When I went, I failed so many, I got so stressed until I learned that I was not preparing for these questions. And the first time I did prepare, of course, there are companies like User Investment, they'll take you through stages. I failed in the second stage, then I felt, okay, could be I can be able to pass. And that's the next one I did, of course, I got the interview. We did 4 interviews by the time we got that job. I passed all of them because I learned. Let me tell you, 90% of the people who go for interviews don't prepare. You have seen it in our interviews room. They don't prepare for anything. You assume when somebody asks you, tell us about yourself, you'll be able to answer that question so well. When you get to that desk, that's when you realize you don't know. So you need to know beforehand, what are you going to share? Prepare. If you try to do it in a mirror, there are people who do that. Prepare what your answer will be so that you give or you put your best foot forward. Prepare all those questions. I remember I had even a book, I had written all of them. Question and answer, what am I going to say? So any question, I looked at all and you can get it online. Question and answer, all the questions HR can be able to ask you so that you give the correct answer and what they are looking for. You show you know your content, you're committed to it, you are passionate about it. You cannot be passionate if you have not prepared your content. That's another thing for most people. The last job advert we did, I think we attracted more than 500. There are so many people who apply for these jobs. I remember in last, I think a month ago, the judiciary asked for application. I think they were saying they got 60,000. Imagine who is going to look at those. You need to stand out. And we are looking at the 20% of the population who are watching this video out there, young people, not everyone will be able to take me seriously, but 20% will, and you'll be able to get a job. Prepare, prepare, prepare. Even for things you think you know, prepare for it. Those aptitude tests, go and do as many online. That's why we revise, and you'll be prepared for it. What it also teaches you, we are not telling you to cram, because once you come to the job, you may carry the same values with you. The job requires to be resilient. The job requires you to prepare. The job requires you to understand the content. The job requires you to have a work ethic. Those are the things that it teaches you to do. So you start when you are doing the interview. The other thing that is very important, please don't shy away from applying jobs because you lack qualifications. Be confident. There's a time when I got my first job, I learned how to do interviews. I was very confident. I was very happy because I learned how to pass interviews. And I felt now I can try one of the big jobs in the country. We have these commissioner jobs, like IBC and stuff like that. You try something of the sort, just give your papers and see whether they'll be able to ask for you. I'm giving you a challenge today. Don't refuse to apply a job because you think you are not qualified for it. You never know. Maybe you might become the best. There's a story that is told of, is it Gabon or which country in West Africa, of a guy who won an international swimming competition. Apparently, in their country, there were, I think, 2 swimming pools at that period in time. So he did not have a place to train. This thing is on the internet. So, so when the country was looking for someone to represent them in the international competition, by mistake he was enrolled because he said he can be able to swim. The guy did not know how to swim. Once he was enrolled, because he's the only one in the country, he got to the competition. He started training in some funny places. He trained how to float, how to do strokes and stuff like that. So he knew how to float by the time he was going for the competition. Of course, he met Akina Eliud Kipchoge of swimming and those guys who didn't know how to swim. There were like 5 guys who are very tough. This guy was an amateur. I might be better than him. What happens is that there are rules in every competition. If you break those rules, you're out of the competition. What happened, it was very funny. Those 4 other guys, some of them broke the rule because once the whistle is blown, you start getting into the water. Those guys broke the rules. So by the time the competition was done, there's only one guy who was supposed to finish, because you have to finish like a marathon. You have to finish for you to get a certificate. The 4 guys were disqualified. They left this guy who did not know how to swim. The guy struggled to finish. Najua una float, you try to go to the other side. The guy struggled for many minutes. Go on YouTube, you'll get that guy. I can't remember his name. He struggled in many minutes and the whole world was watching. They were wondering how this guy even qualified to join the marathon, the swimming competition. It took so long, more than an average person, to be able to finish. And he became a gold medalist just like that. There's a lot to learn from that story. That guy was not qualified. He just enrolled for something he did not even understand. And you can do the same when you're applying for a job. Apply for those jobs. You might get shortlisted by that guy. But what it gives you a challenge. A challenge to be able to learn extremely fast because you can do. That guy got confident when he went back to his country. Now he started training professionally to become good. Right now he's one of the best swimmers across the globe. It's not a joke, by the way. He learned and he got so much confidence that he can be able to do it, and you can do the same. Giving you that challenge. Apply for that job even when you don't think you are qualified. You just need the basics. If you're not shortlisted, it is okay. You can even try to be the chairman of IBC if you want. You can go ahead. The last thing I would like to say, please don't avoid, like I said from the beginning, don't choose the job. Don't choose the company as well. The people who want, I really wanted to work for big organization from the beginning. I really tried. I applied many applications. I succeeded. But not everyone will do that. Don't choose the companies or the organization you have to work for. It is very important because what you need is skills, experience. Experience is more important than how big the company is, because that experience is what will take you many years. In small and big companies alike, even if you run your own show, you need that experience. Even if you are looking for, we have medium-sized company like using becoming a corporate in a short while, you can go there. But there are other smaller companies, and they are the majority in Kenya today. Don't choose any jobs, including how small it is, because you'll be looking for experience. When you go there, your attitude matters. Very, very important, and I have to mention that before I finish. Try to learn as many things as possible so that you get the capacity to be able to handle more. It doesn't come naturally. It comes by training on the job, training on the ground, being assigned things and try to do them. When you get that job, don't choose SMEs. Even very small companies, start there and then you get experience. Most likely, for you to go to the next interview, they'll ask you how much experience you have in a certain matter. How have you worked somewhere? If you say you have not worked for some companies, they'll not hire you. Sometimes they don't understand how big the company where you came from is for them to be able to give you a job. So don't choose the companies. Actually, the smaller companies are way better. They give you more opportunities, more responsibilities, and they grow, you grow with them. One of the biggest, some of the biggest people in the corporate sector today, whether it is Safaricom, KCB, Equity Bank, those biggest corporate, those billion-dollar corporates that we have in the country, those people, most of them grew with those organizations. I have so many examples in Safaricom. Safaricom started BRA when it was so small. The guys who are biggest there, they grew with that organization because they understand the culture, the fabric, the business, the everything. What I'm telling you, this small organization will become the Safaricom of tomorrow. You need to grow with them. You don't just bump into them and you get those big positions. You need to grow with this organization because you understand business, you understand sales, you understand HR, you understand marketing, because it's a small organization. If you start from up there in the big organization, most likely you learn one skill. In a much smaller organization, you learn many skills and you have a lot of flexibility. Who tells you big organizations pay better than smaller ones? No, it is not true. You'll be very surprised that very smaller organization will pay you more money if that's what you are looking for. But don't look for money. Focus on your vision and follow it. Look for experience instead. Grow your skills and become very good in what you do. You do that via experience. I talked about attitude before I finish. The future of work is skills, not degrees. I think I also have to mention that. Please be very good on what you are doing so that if you go somewhere, you're good in graphic design, you're good in marketing, in HR, in sales. You have a record that can help you be able to advance your career. Attitude is extremely important. That is why most of our graduates are unemployable. You have an attitude, you can't be able to keep time, you can't be able to finish a task, you can't be able to do something professional. Most employers don't care what you got. My last employer never cared about my papers. They actually did all the 4 interviews. They never looked at my papers. I had them all the time, never. We also don't do the same because we are interested in your attitude, the skills that you have. Even we go through a written assessment here for us to be able to understand whether you have the skill. Then you do an oral interview. You understand about your attitude, how you think, how you behave. Then we do a probation on you. It doesn't end there because you can be able to see you in a work environment, in a practical environment. Your attitude matters. Your attitude determines whether you succeed or not. Attitude is very simple. It's how you do things. Your willingness to be able to improve, to be able to learn, your willingness to be able to interact with that, your willingness to be able to rectify what does not work, and your willingness to be able to obey rules that are set, your willingness to be able to innovate, to be able, basically is about yourself. Very, very important. Before I finish, I believe if you do that for most, the 20% that will be able to implement this, if you follow some of those tips, you can get the job in 100 days. You can get the job as soon as possible. As millions of young people look for jobs and say there is no job, you will not be among the statistics. I learned somewhere that for those people who are very good in what they do, those people in any country, they'll not lack something to do. Because as kids there, most people are complaining, most people are saying there are no jobs. Surely there is none, but there are jobs for those people who are committed, the right attitude. You have mastered your skill and you don't choose the kind of job that you can be able to get in the first instance. Please subscribe to this channel for more of such videos. We enlighten you, transform your life as well. Look for Reuben Kimani everywhere in YouTube, in Instagram, in LinkedIn, and in Facebook. Have a good afternoon as well. Good morning for some of you. Follow us in all the channels I've listed. God bless you.